All right, hey guys, today is Thursday, June 4th. Here's our plan for today. Only 2 pages, and it's just practice work to be practicing the skills that we've been talking about. If you're feeling uneasy about the skills we've been talking about, watch the previous videos or come on to a session with me, okay? I'm happy to help you and explain things to you if you're not understanding it, but watch the videos first, please, because the videos explain everything. If you don't, what you don't understand from the videos, that's when you should come to me, ideally. But if you want to come to me, obviously I'm not going to shoo you away. I would love seeing you guys and love helping you. But if you haven't watched the video and you come in with a question that's on the video, sometimes it's hard when there's other kids that are trying to get questions answered. Let's see here. So our assignment today, we have the refine section here. So these apply. There's 3 questions on this one, and then there's just this one question here. I'm not worried about the math journal, and this one part over here I'm going to expect you to do. I'm going to go ahead and go through this page here. This is yesterday's assignment. I'm going to go ahead and answer these real fast, so that hold on one second. I gotta pause this real fast. Okay, sorry about that. I had to talk to my daughter. She was getting an ice for some reason. I was trying to figure out what was going on. Okay. All right, here we go. We're going to go ahead and solve these problems here. Page 466. Let's go ahead and do this. All right. Okay. It says, Mr. Reed. So this is in relationship to this problem here where Mr. Reed had bulletin boards for his stuff. 1/5 of a bulletin board, so one section of it was for one team. Okay, so this is one bulletin board, so there's 5 teams being represented here. If you remember what I was saying. Okay, so let's look at this closely here. It says the teams divided its 1/5 board space, which would be one of these spaces, equally so that each student decorates the same amount of board. So we're going to divide this so that each student has a part of that 1/5, right? So we're going to divide this 1/5 into 3 by 3 to show that all 3 students have that amount of work, right? Okay, so use the square to the right, shade 1/5 of the square to show 1/5 of the square to show 1/5 of the board for one team. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and draw our lines like this, because this shows us here that we had 1/5 this way, right? And this way shows us thirds, correct? So this area right here would show us the space that would be used to that each student would get. Sorry, the value of one student's. Okay, remember when we divide, we either finding the number of parts, the total number of parts of equal parts, or finding the value of one part. Okay, so in this situation, we're finding the value of one part. Okay, and so use the right, shade 1/5 of the square to show 1/5 of the board for one team. So what we're supposed to shade, so I'll shade this in green here. So this is 1/5. Then it says divide it, so we into 3 equal spaces. So then there's thirds, there's the third, and then the overlapping area is one student, right? This is my one student. That's the one student, that's the overlapping area. So A was the green, right? A was the green, B was the blue, and C was the dark purple color, okay? So what fraction of the board does each student decorate? Well, what fraction of the entire board? Remember, it's in relationship to the whole. Okay, so this is one part out of how many? Well, this is 3, and this is 5, so we have a total of 15 parts. This is 1/15. Okay, so therefore, 1/5 divided by 3 equals 1/15, right? Okay, look at the model in problem 4. Write a multiplication equation you could also use to find 1/3 of 1/15. Well, again, this basically tells us the multiplication problem, doesn't it? 1/3 of 1/5, so 1/3 of 1/5. That's equal to 1/15. 1 times 1 is 1, 3 times 5 is 15, and that works really nicely, doesn't it? Okay. Next, write a word problem that can be represented by the quotient 3 divided by 1/3. So write a word problem. So here's the thing that you can write this in a lot of different ways. I'm not really going to tell you what to write here, okay? But you need to write it so that you're dividing 3 wholes of something into thirds, right? So it could be anything that's similar to things we've talked about in the past. For example, even like these bulletin boards, right, was 2 divided into fifths, right? 2 whole bulletin boards divided into fifths, okay? Let's see here. Previously, we talked about having this pancake batter, right? We had cups. We had five cups, right? Okay, and so using that concept, right? So you might say we had 3 Snickers bars, and we were divided those into 1/3 into thirds, and we wanted to figure out how many pieces there would be to give people 1/3 pieces or something. You know, you can think of something creative to do with that, okay? Use the number line to solve your problem now, okay? So we're gonna solve this now of 3 divided by 1/3 on this, right? Okay, so now if we look at this, it says then write a multiplication problem. So we're gonna solve it and then write a multiplication problem at the bottom. So when we look at this, we clearly have a number line goes 0 to 5. Do we need to go to 5 is my wondering though for you. I want you to think about that. If this is the problem that we're using, this is the expression that we're using for this equation, I guess you could say then, how could we represent this on this number line? Well, because it's 3, this is what we have. This is our total of what we have. So 3 could be represented by 1, 2, 3 wholes up to here, right? From here to here, okay? So this is the span that we're going to use, okay? I'm just going to mark it like that. We don't need this because that's excess. That's beyond our total, okay? And then this is divided into thirds, correct? Okay, so it means each whole is divided into thirds, which it's already done for us, isn't it? It's already done for us. So therefore, 1/3, 2/3, 3/3 is a whole. And so then the idea is that each of these parts show the thirds that are being divided into, right? So how many total parts is this? Well, there's 3 in each whole, and there's 3 wholes. So we would think of it as 3 times 3, that equals 9, right? So therefore, 3 divided by 1/3 equals 9. All right. Again, think about that however you need to, whatever your problem here is, be thoughtful and write something where you're dividing 3 wholes into thirds, okay? All right, let's go ahead and look at the next page here. Most of the stuff I do want you to be able to do on your own. Let's just do the first one. We'll talk about this, okay? It says draw a model that represents 1/4 divided by 4, and a model that represents 1/4 times 1/4. Explain the relationship between the two, okay? So, again, we've already been doing some of these, but I know some of you guys are gonna be confused by this. So if this is my 1/4, right? That's my 1/4 there, correct? That's 1/4. I'm gonna divide 1/4. I'm gonna divide this. This is this one right here, okay? I'm gonna divide this by 4. So that means I'm gonna divide it into 4 parts. Divide it into 4 parts, and this is gonna tell me the value of 1 part, right? Okay. So 1/4 divided into 4 parts would be this, and this model looks like this, doesn't it? Okay. So again, you might think, well, the models are exactly the same. Well, they shouldn't be exactly the same. They should be similar though. So if I go ahead and do this one, I'm gonna do this one now here, okay? In this situation, it's 4 by 4 length and width, right? So we're gonna go 1/4 here, okay? Then we're gonna go 1/4 here, correct? So if I go ahead and grab some different colors here, if this is representing 1/4 going down this way, then we could say, well, this is representing 1/4 going this way. Okay, this overlapping area here, I'm just going to shade it in darker. This overlapping area here is our answer, right? So again, hopefully you can see how these two problems are doing the same exact thing. They're getting the same answer, right? Getting the same answer. So the point is that if it's 1/4 divided by 4, we can think about it as 1/4 times 1/4. We can change that 4 into a fourth, okay? Because when we divide by 4, we're multiplying by a fourth. Just like when we divide by 10, it's the same as multiplying by a tenth, right? Okay. So that interchangeable thing is nothing new to us. We've talked about this with powers of 10, but it's the same thing here as well, okay, from fourths to thirds and whatnot, okay? So ultimately, the way that these are the same, explain the relationship. The relationship here is that they both get us to 1/16, don't they? Okay, because this is 1/16. This part right there is 1/16. This part right here is 1/16. So I would write a sentence here, okay, to explain that the relationship here is that they both create and explain that and show 1/16 is the relationship. Okay, all right. Take this concept, obviously, apply it. You have just a couple questions to do on your own. It's not a whole lot today, guys. Be very thoughtful about it. Get to work hard. I will talk to you later. I'll be online around noon. I might be a little bit late today, just to give you guys a heads up because I have a staff meeting at 11. Okay, talk to you later.